It is Sunday afternoon, February the 20th, and I wanted to make this video not only as an announcement video, but also to share with you some recently leaked potential patch notes that I've come across, some pretty interesting stuff. So we'll get into that in just a second. But firstly, I do want to just say, I want to make a quick apology to my viewers for not having any new content or videos up in the past few days. I am on my reading week right now. As a Canadian university student, we have reading week in February, basically the equivalent to the American spring break that I guess is upcoming in the US. So I'm back at home in Toronto. I don't have my computer. I don't have the video editing software. So it's not as easy for me to make commentaries, but I still am going to. I'm going to bring you guys some new casts and some exciting matches this week. So look forward to those. Apart from that, I want to extend a big thank you to someone that has really helped me out this past week. I got a major surprise donation from Wazeltoff. He is a videographer who's got a YouTube channel of his own. He does lots of really cool visual lighting effects in videos. Some cool music and sound stuff as well. Some really cool, trippy videos that I've been enjoying. So I definitely want to recommend that you guys check out Wazeltoff's channel. Give him a subscribe. He really helped me out with a really generous donation this past week. So thank you so much to him. A big thanks. And now moving on to the patch notes. This, I want to just provide a quick disclaimer for these patch notes. They are not released by Blizzard. There's been no official statement. This is taken from an IRC conversation, some stuff that Naniwa has been apparently chatting about. I assume this is IRC. Naniwa is a very well-known StarCraft 2 pro from Team Dignitas, and I also want to say that I did get this off of the StarCraft Reddit, so that's starcraft.reddit.com. The opening portion here is just about the different matchups. Basically says that Protoss is the underdog versus Terran and Zerg, 41 and 45% respectively, which surprises me, especially in PvZ, just because we've been seeing Protoss using fast Phoenix builds so effectively versus Zerg. I mean, you get 4 Phoenix out, chrono boosted very quickly with their buffed build time. You can get 4 Phoenix out, and they can take on 4 Queens if microed correctly. So Phoenix, really strong opener in PvZ, and just kind of surprises me that apparently Protoss are still losing quite a bit versus Zerg. TVZ, 53% as well. Now to sort of get into what I was a little bit more excited about, the patch changes. So just to state once again, nothing is set in stone, but there are quite a few changes outlined in this discussion, and I mean, I figure at least a couple of them should be incorporated into future patches, so it's pretty cool to look at nonetheless. Bunker build time changed from 35 to 40 seconds. Seems that Blizzard is never satisfied with the bunker build time. It's been 30 seconds in the beta, and I think it was 30 seconds during a recent public test realm. It's been 35 seconds officially for a very long time, and it looks like it could very well go up to 40. Now, what would that mean? It would definitely make it easier to hold off bunker rushes in some situations. Obviously, if you're a Zerg player and you're going hatchery first, the difference between 35 and 40 seconds isn't going to make a big difference in how well you can defend. But in other bunker rush situations, especially in TVT, you know, it might be enough time to get out an extra Marine and hold that off. And also on a defensive perspective, if you guys can think back to one of the recent GSLs, Jinro versus Hydra, it must have been the round of 16 or something like that. It was a match on Jungle Basin, and Hydra, knowing that Jungle Basin is so Terran favored, he decides to 6-pool and just stream all his drones and Zerglings down to Jinro's base. You know, maybe a bunker build time nerf would have came into play in that kind of 6-pool situation, taking it just a little bit longer to get that bunker up. So that's just a couple examples, but to be really fair, the bunker is such a staple structure. It is available, you know, right out of the gate in the early game and is incorporated into the vast majority of Terran builds, so it's very difficult to outline in an announcement video how a 35 to 40 second build time is truly going to change the game. I'd be surprised if anyone could accurately depict that without like writing an essay about it. The second change, Baneling, morph time decreased from 20 to 10. Naniwa says that this one probably won't come to fruition, and I guess that doesn't surprise me just because that's a dramatic change, cutting the morph time in half. I think it would really drastically change any of the Zerg matchups, and just seems too dramatic. Cutting it in half, 20 to 10, would be pretty huge. So we may not see that, but just interesting food for thought nonetheless. This Ghost EMP change, the idea of making it an upgrade, I find is quite interesting. Naniwa says that this one probably won't happen either, but it does. It does sort of intrigue me a little bit, especially in the Terran versus Protoss matchup. I find that Ghosts and High Templars play very similar roles. Of course, Ghosts with EMP round completely drain. Actually, I shouldn't use the word completely, but they drain Protoss shields very significantly the same way High Templars use Psystorm versus Bio Balls to do the AoE damage as well. They play similar roles in that regard. Of course, High Temps also have their feedback ability, and that's a pretty strong counter versus Ghosts if you can snipe them appropriately. So making the Ghost EMP an upgrade, oh, that would be a huge, kick in the groin to all Terran players, especially in TVP matchups. Naniwa says here that there have been reports of pro players saying that the early EMP push is too strong. But you know what? The early EMP push really should be strong. It's an all-in play. If you don't win going off of one base, investing in Ghosts, you're gonna lose. Really, I mean. It's just such a heavy investment in the early mid game that you're gonna lose if you're trying this early game push off of one base. So it should be very powerful because it is an all-in push. But nonetheless, I mean, making it an upgrade would really change the TVP matchup. But maybe there's an argument to be made that it would be appropriate, given that to get Ghosts out, you need a barracks, you need a tech lab on the barracks, and you need a Ghost Academy. And if you want High Templars out, you need a Twilight Council, and you obviously need a gateway, and you need a Templar Archives as well. If you want Psionic Storm, you have to research Psionic Storm as well, another 200 upgrade. So it takes much more minerals and gas to get to Psi Storm high temps than it does to get to Ghost with EMP around. So I mean, that's just sort of a basic argument for making Ghost EMP an upgrade. But I want to know what you guys think about that as well. So maybe post up your opinions in the comments below. Moving right along, an Infestor buff, maybe increasing the health by 20 points or 30 points. I don't think very many people are going to actually disagree with this. I mean, 20 or 30 hit points on a unit like the Infestor is not going to really change a whole lot, in my opinion. It's not like they're a heavy combat unit. You're not going to go mass infestors. It's not going to play a huge role. This second point here, though, fungal growth may be changed to a movement. Oops. Excuse me, might be changed to a movement speed slow instead of stun. So as you know now, if you fungal units, ground units, air units, whatever, they are ensnared. They're trapped. They can't move, and they take damage. If what this change is proposing is that instead of stunning them, it will slow them 50 to 70%, which I think is pretty cool. I've definitely heard talk about this change before, like on State of the Game and stuff like that, and I think it sort of makes sense, especially for air units. It'll just make sort of like if you take a medevac drop, for example, it'll make it a little bit hard to snipe the medevac, as maybe it's a little bit too easy right now, as if you get a fungal, you can even plop down a couple infested Terran, and that medevac is going to go down. So now it's going to be a little bit easier to get away, but I don't exactly disagree with this fungal movement speed slow change. Let me know what you guys think. And fungal also does more damage versus armored, which I think is quite interesting as well. It's going to make fungal growth very effective against stalkers, marauders. It's going to do, I mean, 50% more damage is a lot. That's a pretty big bonus. But maybe it makes sense. Who knows? It would take a very long discussion to determine if this is an appropriate change. So I just want to sort of give it and put it out there for you guys, sort of as food for thought. Corruptor possibly changing from +6 massive damage to +4 armor damage. So I guess Corruptor is going to be a little bit less effective versus battle cruisers, versus broodlords, versus colossi, but more effective to armored units like Corruptors and Void Rays. So yeah, that's just more of an adjustment, and Yeah, it might make it a little harder to deal with Colossi. You might have to squeeze out a couple extra Corruptors to take them down. But who knows? Just another change listed here, and that actually is going to do it. So once again, none of these changes set in stone by any stretch of the imagination, but it's interesting to see, what a pro like Naniwa, what he has to share with us regarding upcoming potential patch changes, and I just wanted to, forward them on to you guys as just some thinking points. Okay, so I hope you guys